EPAZ describes itself as specializing in metaverse solutions. So, of course, this is a big buzzword we've especially heard about over the past year or so. With me, the Director of Communications for EPAZ, Michael Manahan, to talk about what you're doing in the metaverse and just what EPAZ is doing in general. So, I guess I'd just start by explaining the role of EPAZ in the metaverse and what's going on with the company overall.
Well, I think to really understand EPAZ, we need to wind the clock back just a little bit to what EPAZ started as. And how EPAZ started was, you probably know there are literally thousands of what we call legacy software systems that were developed over many, many years. Typically, they would run off of some kind of a server. Now everything's moving to cloud-based, and a lot of those old systems, the coding has been lost. People really don't know how to convert them. So our CEO, Sean Paisley, who is a genius, a software genius, and I don't think that's a stretch to say that, he developed a methodology of converting those old legacy software systems to cloud-based systems. And then once he acquired those old legacy systems, then what we do, EPAZ markets those systems to people who might want to use them. So it really, what we've just been doing is taking software and making it better and improving it, and using all of the most recent tools of software development to achieve what we're doing. And of course, that takes us into things like blockchain, and the metaverse.
Okay, so I get it. So the cloud storage then could be a data storage for any kind of metaverse operations. This is where the solutions part comes in. So if people need to store something from the metaverse, they can do it on your services.
Well, what we're focusing on the metaverse is what we call, really it's called DeskFlex. And really what it is, it's a metaverse virtual meeting room, if you will. And so you might say, well, but hang on, what about something like Zoom, which people are familiar with? Well, Zoom is okay, but it's two-dimensional, okay? What our metaverse DeskFlex software allows you to do is literally create a room where we each have our own avatar in the room, where we can collectively not only communicate, but we can touch things, we can share things. And so it takes kind of the flat screen, two-dimensional Zoom platform to kind of the next level in virtual meetings.
So much more digitally interactive.
Absolutely, much more digitally interactive.
Now, do you need VR headsets to be able to
Well, you do, but that's also another exciting thing, because a lot of the virtual reality headsets, you've seen them. They're bulky. You've got this big thing on your head. You might be okay wearing that if you're playing some game or something for an hour, but after a while, that headset gets a little cumbersome. So what we are doing is actually developing our own headset. It's lightweight. It can be worn all day long. So it's not something that you're going to be, oh my gosh, I got to take this thing off. It's got numerous cameras installed. It's got sound systems installed. It's a very high-tech sensory, if you will, virtual reality headset, but much more efficient, particularly for a work environment, than the virtual reality kind of glasses you've seen people wear.
Okay, and there's an app, I guess, like an EPAZ app that you can connect to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That lets you in the meeting, and then everybody else has that app, and they can all get in. And
that's it, and it's completely platform agnostic. Okay. So we can do it on our phone, we can do it on our tablet, we can do it on our laptop, we can do it on our desktop. You know, as long as we're able to hook into the software, we can engage in this virtual office environment.
Fascinating. So now the blockchain tokenization software also has a real estate play. Explain that.
Yeah, that's something slightly different, but again, it's one of our evolving software platforms. People have talked about tokenization. That sounds great. I have something I want to tokenize, but how do I do it? I need a software platform that makes that work. And that is exactly what we have developed. We developed a software platform that will allow you to tokenize an asset. One of our first applications is in real estate. Kind of replaces the old, used to be an LLC, and everybody would get membership units in the LLC. Well, now instead of getting membership units in the LLC, you will get a token that represents value in that asset. And it's more secure, and it's easier to trade if you wanted to sell. One of the problems with real estate syndications is what do you do when you get that membership LLC and you decide, oh gosh, I need some money for, I don't know, emergency. I need to buy a new car. I need an operation. We got to take care of grandma. What do? You can't get rid of it. But with tokenization, you will be able to actually trade that on various token trading platforms.
It makes it much more liquid.
Absolutely.
To be able to invest in certain assets. I know artwork is another, thing that people have talked about
Yes,
tokenizing.
exactly.
So in real estate as well. Interesting. So why is it a good time to take a look at Epazz Stock and the company in general?
There's different philosophies for investing, but certainly one philosophy is to look for and find those undiscovered entities, the acres of diamonds type thing. Look for something that isn't well known, but is still on the leading edge of changes that are occurring in technology and in the marketplace. And that describes EPAZ to the T. Not a lot of people know about us. We're not traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We're not traded on NASDAQ. And yet we are working in what is a leading edge technology area, metaverse, cryptocurrency, blockchain. And we are not just talking about it. We already have applications that we have developed that customers are using today. And we have a plethora of new applications that we're working on.
I'm just curious, being on the front line of this industry, how do you see it? How are we going to live? Is the whole financial system going to change? I know it's opening up all kinds of new worlds for people if we're investing and, interacting. How do you see that?
Well, the question is change going to happen? It is, and it already has.
Sure.
It just, when was the last time you wrote a check?
Actually, I do write something. I pay stuff online and would check. I don't know why I still do it that way, but.
My daughter saw my checkbook sitting on my desk, and she said to me, "Why are you using checks?" But the whole methodology of how we transfer value from one person to the next, from one entity to the next, is changing, and you need the proper software systems to manage and control that. And that's part of what we're doing. But yes, you're going to see some major changes over the next 5, 10, 15 years in how we transfer value between one person and the next. What we've seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, I really like that tokenization of real estate. I feel like that gets more people involved in big assets that have been shut out before because they just didn't have the money. They didn't have the money to buy a big whatever townhouse or home.
Well, absolutely, and it's also the fact that you can more effectively and efficiently trade it. There are probably hundreds of thousands of syndicated real estate projects in the United States. If you own one of them, try selling your interest. It's not easy, but now with a token, you can put that token on a token exchange, and you will be able to trade the token. And I should mention that we're not just doing this in the United States. In fact, there's a huge amount of interest in what we're doing. All of our software platforms globally. Our CEO right now is in Dubai, basically looking and working with customers. We plan on opening offices in a number of countries around the world. And it's a nice thing. That's another thing that's amazing these days. Used to be you had to be a big multinational billion-dollar corporation to have offices in many different cities. We're a small company, but we're going to have offices in 3 or 4 cities internationally by the end of this year.
Yeah, no, fascinating. And you hear so much about the wealth disparity, but technology has opened up things for companies like Epaz and others where they can do things they couldn't do before. So
well, just the changes are just astronomical. And I think a lot of it helps, a lot of what we're doing and what other companies are doing really helps what I'm going to call the average Joe.
Mhm.
It lets the average Joe into the playing field. Billion-dollar corporations have always been able to move money around the world at the snap of their fingers. But the average person couldn't do that. I can remember years ago to send a wire transfer. You had to go into the bank, stand in a line, fill out a bunch of paperwork, pay an exorbitant fee.
5 days later, you get
5 days later, you get the money. Now, literally, with your phone, you can transfer money to just about somebody anywhere in the world within 24 hours.
Well, it is an interesting time to watch all this unfold. So thank you so much, Michael, for coming in.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
And thank you as well.